So for lab exercise average for three numbers function, we're going to write a function that takes in three numbers and returns their average or mean. We're going to write some code that asks the user for three numbers one at a time. Okay, your code must call the function you created and display the average calculated. Okay, and so we did something similar to this already, but we're just going to write it in the context of a function. All right, so let me create a new file. I'm going to call it average function. Okay, nice. So we want to start by defining our function, right? And I recommend the same way that I told you to insert all of your import statements at the very top of your program. I also recommend that you do the same thing with functions, okay? If you group all of your functions together, you can make them very, very easier to find. And so I'm going to define my function first. Okay, we're going to call this function average nums. Okay, average underscore nums. Okay, and our function is going to take in three numbers, three parameters. Okay, so remember parameters are when we're defining our function, arguments are when we're invoking or calling that function. Okay, so we're going to say num1, num2, and num3. Now you already know the algorithm num3. So you already know the algorithm that calculates the average of a group of numbers, right? We add up all of the numbers first, and then the result of those numbers is being divided by the amount of numbers that we're adding up. So in this case, we're going to say return num1 plus num2 plus num3. However, we want to wrap all of these inside of in parentheses, right? Because we want those to be calculated first, adhering to that mathematical principle of BODMAS or PEDMAS, brackets or parentheses comes first, and then we want to divide by the amount of numbers that we're adding up, which is 3, okay? And so afterwards we're going to come outside of our function and we're going to create three input variables because we want the user to actually input the arguments in place of these parameters, okay? So we're going to add three variables. Let's call it input num1, input num underscore 1. You could call your variables whatever you want to call them. Okay, that's fine as well. So I'm going to call it input underscore num1 equals int input, typecasting it. I'm going to say number 1 or enter number 1. Okay, I'm going to create three of these. Okay, so we're going to say input underscore num2 equal to int input. Going to create a third one. Okay, great. Now that we created our three input variables, we're going to use these in the place of those parameters when we call or invoke that function, right? So I'm going to call my function. I'm going to say average nums, and in the place of num1 in my parameter, I'm going to insert input num1, input num2, right? And input num3, all right? And so when I run this program, when I run this program, it's going to request that I enter number 1. So let's go with 5, 2, let's go with 10, 3, let's go with 25. Doesn't actually print out anything because I didn't use the print function on anything. I didn't use the print function anywhere in my program. Okay, so I need to wrap my function invocation or my function call inside of a print statement, inside of a print function. So I'm going to say print. Okay, make sure I wrap it around. Okay, now it's going to print the result of this function to the console. So if I run, number 1 is 5, 2, 10, 3, 25. And it's going to tell me that the average is 13 point whatever this long number is, right? So how about we try 4, 4, 5, and 6. 5.0. Right. And so that is lab exercise average of 3 numbers.